up, Tzu Chi volunteers face a heavy snowstorm to hold winter distributions in China's northern Jiangsu. All across Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers help the homeless get through the chill of the polar vortex. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. We begin the first segments of our program with a series of reports on the winter aid distributions in Jiangsu province, beginning with an aid distribution for the elderly in Jiangsu's Siyang. After a night of heavy snowfall, the roads are now blanketed in snow and volunteers are working to clean them. Shanghai can't be reached. Kunshan also has roads closed. The snowfall has stopped the expressways, and bridges can't be crossed. Plans for the distribution calling for 600 volunteers face serious adjustment.
Because of the road closures, our volunteer group from Ningbo isn't going to make it.
Due to the heavy snow, many volunteers have no wage to reach the designated distribution site. But with serious effort, each available volunteer is doing the work of 10 to distribute the care packages. As the senior's eyesight is not so good, Tzu Chi volunteers kindly and carefully accompany him back to his room. Not only are senior citizens looking forward to the aid distribution, a third-year high school student, Chen Mongyue, has also come with a heart of gratitude.
为什么特别做这个？
因为感觉你们冬天来是吧？就那么的冷的天，还给我们父母想，
所以就特别做这样子。这个垃圾。
This is the third year that Chen Mongyue has come to assist Tzu Chi volunteers. Even with her busy class schedule, she has still taken time to make these lovely paper flowers. In this cold weather, this young student's sincerity brings a bit of warmth to the hearts of the volunteers. The recent snowfall has made roads difficult to travel in and around Jiangsu province. With fewer volunteers than expected showing up, Tzu Chi volunteers braved the cold to complete their winter aid distribution. The small group worked through the difficult conditions to make the event a success. With the accumulated snow on the roads, drivers are taking extra care.
像这样子雪地里开车要特别注意什么？
方向不能猛打，刹车要轻点，不能猛开。
速度也要放慢，对不对？
速度肯定要慢啊！你不踩刹车，你速度能开吗？
Driving under 30 kilometers per hour, it isn't easy to reach the distribution sites. Upon arrival, volunteers will need to double their speed to prepare for the event. Helping to clean the icy walkways is Wu Mingrong, who was originally tasked with reporting on the event. Volunteers were hoping for about 30 volunteers today, but only 4 have arrived. So Mr. Wu spends some time reporting and then joins in preparing aid packages.
Yeah, today we're all running around taking care of different tasks. With so few people, we all need to pick up the slack.
With all hands on deck working hard to get things ready, volunteers are worried about delays. Luckily, some helpful students soon arrived to lend a hand.
We were notified to be here at 1, but I didn't have anything to do in the morning, so I came to help. I'm really grateful to Tzu Chi. They help us a lot. I really like the volunteers' smiles. They seem so happy.
Hua Zhengjing originally received scholarship assistance from Tzu Chi 4 years ago and is now a first-year university student. Year after year, she has come to the winter aid distributions to see if she can help. Even with minor delays due to the difficult weather and having so few volunteers, with cooperation and diligence, volunteers still successfully carried out the distribution. Overcoming various difficulties, the winter aid distributions were successfully carried out in China's northern Jiangsu province. Over 2 days, 4,895 households received aid supplies. Volunteers faced freezing temperatures and traveled long distances to make it to the distribution site, where they met with care recipients to share warmth and friendship. It is currently 12 below freezing, but as you can see, many people have lined up their carts awaiting aid supplies. Many seniors here find it difficult to face the freezing winds. Tzu Chi volunteers are there to offer some warmth.
Thank you. You all have thought of everything. You are here every year looking out for us. Thank you for your efforts.
Senior Hu left his home at 6 a.m. to reach the distribution site. He's also wearing an overcoat he previously received from Tzu Chi's aid distribution. Senior Hu and other residents were looking forward to today's distribution.
Coming to Jiangsu again, we are glad to offer residents some warmth and care.
Handing out the relief supplies one after the other, volunteers help the elderly set bags of rice into their carts and are met with happy smiles from the care recipients.
有米，
有米呀、
有那个毛毯，是大伙卖的都。
Care recipients rely on the kindness of volunteers, which will keep them warm through the winter months. To make sure these residents get all the assistance they need, Tzu Chi volunteers are braving the cold to make the distribution a success.
We got to the train station after 7. We didn't get to Nanjing until after 11 in the evening.
Facing harsh weather and limited transportation options, volunteers struggle to carry all the food supplies to the site. Despite the obstacles in 2 days, Tzu Chi volunteers worked with determination to bring love and warmth to aid recipients in northern Jiangsu, successfully delivering relief goods to nearly 6,000 people at this year's winter aid distribution. Staying in China as temperatures fluctuate, Tzu Chi volunteers in Shanghai made calls or visited to make sure solitary seniors are in good health. For some of the volunteers who are away from their families, visiting these seniors gave them the familiar warmth they needed while working away from home.
If it is cold in the morning, the volunteer will call the elderly.
身体怎么样？哦，昨天晚上不舒服哦。哦，现在心脏怎么样？
那早上温度比较低哦。啊。你身体要自己保重，衣服要多穿点哦。今天早上很冷啊。
说真的，小仙，你小仙。
你好，孙女来了。
Tzu Chi volunteers in Shanghai come to Xiaoleren area to see how the elderly are doing.
吃汤圆。
Eating tangyuan makes me think of my late husband. My heart is jumping fast.
Xu Feng'er, a solitary senior, is loved by every volunteer. When the volunteers visit her, she makes sure no one is missing.
小江，师姐上班了。小王师姐。
Ma'am, Sister Xiao Jiang, Brother Xiao Wang, Sister Xiao Fang, and Brother Ma have all gone to work.
When he calls me, it's like he's here visiting me, and that makes me happy.
就好像我们自己是他的孙。
We are like her grandchildren. When we talk to her, we also become closer to her.
距离也更近了。师父讲的话，我们把它写起来。
It means that we get blessing and happiness from giving. This is blessing. Then there is wisdom. It means understanding. We must be understanding about everything. Whether it is good or bad, we must be understanding. Then we will feel at ease.
Xu Feng'er can't read, but she knows Master Zhen Yan. The scroll and the speaker remind her of the master she has never met.
It's like the master is here, so I'm brave now, although I'm alone.
因为我的父亲、母亲。
My parents and grandparents have all passed away. My company sent me to work here. When I return to Taiwan to see them in the past, I would feel I should cherish each chance to see them.
那感觉上面就是每一次回去，当爷爷奶奶在的时候，我们每一次回去就会感觉看一次少一次。
Bringing the seniors love and care, the volunteers who walk away from home also feel familiar warmth.
Also about visiting seniors in Shanghai, the Huangpu chapter of the Shanghai Charity Foundation has been working with Tzu Chi to provide a Chinese New Year feast for lonely seniors since last year. While in Guangdong, local Tzu Chi volunteers visited a nursing home with all kinds of performances ahead of the Lunar New Year.
93-year-old Grandma Deng slowly walks out of her home with help from a community volunteer, Huang Caifang. As Tzu Chi volunteers are here to pick her up for the reunion feast. Grandma Deng only likes talking to Huang Caifang, who has been accompanying her for over 6 years.
She had a cold 2 days ago, but I've given her some medicine and she's fine.
Here at Shandong Nursing Home, Tzu Chi volunteers put on folk dancing and other activities, including a magic show to entertain the elderly. In Huangpu, Shanghai, Tzu Chi volunteers are bringing 5,000 gift packs to a truck, as these are for the lonely elderly. A local charity group started working with Tzu Chi last year to hold a Chinese New Year reunion feast. This year, 450 elderly will enjoy the feast. In Shanghai, 1 in 4 people is over 65 years old. The society is aging while it prospers. The volunteers will bless and take care of these elderly.
The drowning of Alan Kurdi, a 3-year-old boy on the beaches of the Mediterranean Sea in September of last year, brought global attention to the plight of the refugees. However, Tzu Chi volunteers have long been extending a hand to refugees in different parts of the world, such as Thailand and Malaysia. In today's series report on Tzu Chi's 50th anniversary, we see how Tzu Chi volunteers worldwide are helping to ease the suffering of the refugees. The death of Alan Kurdi during the autumn of 2015 prompted an international focus on the Syrian refugee crisis, but his death was in fact the tip of an iceberg. Since 2011, the ongoing Syrian civil war has wreaked havoc in the country. Lives were lost and children's education stopped.
Except for Allah, I have never turned to anyone for help. This is my first time asking others to help me. I had work in Syria before. I didn't need any help then. Praise Allah. What can I say? This is Allah's will.
I wish things could go back to the way they were, and I want to go back to school. But because of our situation here at home, I have to work to support my family. The children stand by the window every morning and watch the Turkish children as they go to school. It makes them very sad.
I can't translate this. I just can't. These children are crying because it makes them sad to see the Turkish children go to school, and they can't. There are still so many of them who can't go back to school.
Forced to flee from their homeland, Syrian refugees could only dream of returning to their countries safely one day.
In October of 2014, we began our aid distributions and continue to do so each month. We handed out a total of 10,000 blankets to 2,635 households. In the winter months of November, December, January, and February, we will distribute financial aid for them to purchase fuel.
In 2014, the Tzu Chi Foundation collaborated with Mena High Primary and Secondary School with the assistance of Professor Tsuma and the Turkish government to give Syrian children the opportunity to go to school.
I like everything about school. Coming to school, I can learn new things and study. In the future, I can return to Syria to get a job. I want to become an ophthalmologist because my sister suffers from eye problems. I want to find the cure for her illness, so I want to study medicine. When I fled to Turkey, all I could do was work, and my future was grim. It was Tzu Chi and the volunteers who restored the smiles to our faces. Our consideration was, if they don't go to school at the age of 9, then they will be uneducated for the rest of their life, as they start work at the age of 11. We really can't bear to see them this way. These refugee children, if they don't receive proper schooling, then they just become child laborers or wander around outside. It's important for these children to get an education, but this isn't a problem that can be solved with a one-time humanitarian aid. It's a long-term investment.
15 years of hard work was lost. Now with this sewing machine, I can start to rebuild my life and work. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Though it's cold outside, hearts are warmed with a bit of love. For those refugees who have fled to countries which do not recognize the status of refugees as stated in the 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees, Tzu Chi volunteers are there for them as well. In Malaysia, there are over 1,500,000 refugees in the country who do not have legal status and face the dangers of capture and deportation.
Thank you. Thank you.
In Thailand, there are over 650,000 refugees from 47 different countries lost in the system. To help, Tzu Chi's relief work began in northern Thailand. Beginning January of 2015, Tzu Chi Thailand chapter has held monthly free clinics on behalf of the country's refugees. With such diverse ethnicity of refugees, volunteers would ask translators to join the event to help communicate between patient and doctor.
当台湾人才看着 Alan Kurdi。
When Taiwan saw the images of Alan Kurdi lying on the beach, people were awakened to the plight of refugees. However, a year before that, Tzu Chi had already begun the organization's relief work in Istanbul. The organization displays such compassion.
When others are in pain, Tzu Chi volunteers put their love into action. During tumultuous times, Tzu Chi reaches out to refugees, crossing boundaries and religious differences to bring them a ray of hope. As a cold front envelops Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers in Taipei have begun delivering needed supplies to those without shelters. More than 60 volunteers visited homeless people around the Taipei main station last weekend to bring them hot ginger tea, daily supplies, and winter clothes.
Despite the low temperatures and strong winds, many homeless people have no choice but to stay outside the Taipei main station.
They cannot go inside this year. When I came 2 or 3 years ago, they could stay in an underground parking lot, so it was warm. I feel terrible seeing them stay outside this year. At home, we stay warm under our blankets, but they are exposed to the cold winds.
Feeling the low temperatures, some volunteers give the homeless their own hand warmers. More than 60 volunteers also give out hot ginger tea to the homeless. They then give out the daily supplies and put the winter clothes on the homeless people.
We've brought jackets, hand warmers, socks, hats, and multigrain powder, which they can drink.
Delivering much-needed supplies amid cold of the winter, the volunteers hope their efforts will help those without homes stay safe and warm.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Taichung also mobilized to give the homeless some love and care. Next, we join Central Team members as they host a year-end banquet for the homeless in their area, while some volunteers pay visits to the homeless around the Taichung train station to bring them winter clothes and hot tea.
有没有喝到姜母茶？来，有喝吗？没有哈，送一杯给你，喝得暖暖的啊，只要不够再来装。
As a strong cold snap hit Taiwan, strong winds can be felt in the underpass of Taichung train station. To help the homeless get through the fierce winter, Tzu Chi volunteers have brought them hot ginger tea, blankets, gloves, and scarves.
We all face hardships, and it is wonderful to have people bring us food.
My hands and feet were cold, but they feel warm now.
Mr. Chen has been staying at the underpass for more than 20 years. Tzu Chi volunteers have brought him timely assistance when he's worried about how to get through the fierce winter.
The homeless might not be here in the daytime, but they will come back in the evening when it is extremely cold.
Seeing how those homeless trying to get by with just thin blankets and umbrellas, Tzu Chi volunteers, TIMA doctors, and social workers have worked together to bring them some familiar warmth. For the homeless people, enjoying hot meals in the cold weather may be a luxury. Thanks to TIMA Central Taiwan chapter and an association for the homeless in Taichung, a year-end banquet is held for them. This banquet only serves vegetarian food, which the homeless people enjoy very much.
The banquet serves vegetarian food. We are happy, as we hope they can enjoy vegetarian food for a change. We are very happy.
Then the volunteers also present red envelopes to the homeless. Surprisingly, one homeless man returns the red envelope to the volunteers, hoping to donate the money to help other less fortunate people. At the banquet, more than 300 homeless people not only enjoy the lavish meal, but are also able to feel the love and care of the public.
In our next report, we meet Tzu Chi volunteer薛淑贞, a widow from Miaoli, Taiwan, who has been a devoted Tzu Chi volunteer for more than 30 years. A mother to 7 children, Xue has helped the less fortunate despite her own financial difficulties.
Donning Tzu Chi uniform, Xue Shuzhen, who lives in Miaoli, feels a sense of mission as she accompanies seniors and volunteers at the hospital and carrying out other Tzu Chi's work.
I gladly joined Tzu Chi after learning about how the Dharma masters help those in need while working to sustain their own living.
She has single-handedly raised her 7 children since her husband died years ago. To save money, her family sometimes eats simple cabbage soup noodle for a meal. Despite the financial difficulties, she insists on donating to Tzu Chi to help other less fortunate people.
My kids told me not to donate so much and stop volunteering. I explained to them I have not done enough in the past, so Dad lost what he earned. We need to persist no matter what.
Having joined Tzu Chi for 37 years, Xue continues to work long hours to help those in need. Despite the hard work, Xue said she feels proud to be a Tzu Chi volunteer.
Giving those in need a shoulder to lean on, this past weekend, Tzu Chi volunteers in the Taichung area headed to help victims of a residential fire. As no one was hurt in the disaster, besides handing out consolation cash to help the victims get through the difficult days ahead, volunteers brought hot meals to fill their stomachs. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.